One of the greatest powers that we have as human beings is the power to think, what we call thought, all caps. And thought is the abstract principle that defines our ability to create ideas in our own minds. And until we start to realize that that is how we see our lives, that our thinking isn't coming at us, circumstances aren't throwing thoughts into our minds. We live in a world, and we look at the world, and we see the world, of course, and we think about it. But what makes us unique as human beings is that while we may be sharing a reality in a moment, each one of us will have our own particular experience of it, and that experience is brought to us by our own thinking. And that's why we call it an inside-out world, not an outside-in world. And the implication of that is that our circumstances do not, cannot, absolutely will not force us to have certain types of thoughts. Our circumstances are the neutral. It's like watching life go by, no matter what it is, no matter whether it's beautiful or terrible. Circumstances are always happening. And how we think about it, what thoughts we bring to mind about it, what we make of the circumstances, determines our particular experience of those circumstances. And that's why two people can go through exactly the same thing and come out feeling entirely differently about it. That's why one person's bad event is just an incident, and another person who experienced the same event can brood about it for months. Because each one of us has the power to think, to see things for ourselves, to interpret what we see through our own filters, our own way of using our thinking, and then experience what we've thought as the reality that we're living in. Now, I call that a superpower, even though it's really invisible to a lot of people. It's invisible to us because of what we're doing. We're born doing it. We do it our whole lives, and no one ever asks ourselves, gee, why did I get this image in my mind? And then, we're sort of taught to believe that certain events create certain thoughts and feelings in us. And, you can, when you're little, that makes sense. If you go out in the rain, you're going to get wet. No one ever says, yeah, but wet means something different to different people. Which is why our mothers don't like to walk through puddles and our children love to walk through puddles. So, we have to realize that it's not the event that creates the thought. The event provides the opportunity for us to experience life through our own thinking about it and what we make of it and how we remember it and how we feel as a result of the thoughts that we've created determines the importance and the significance and the staying power of the events in our lives. And that's what this little unit is about. And it's really important to see that. Because, we have an easy way of saying, oh, well, this happened and that made me upset and angry, and that's why I'm so grumpy today. Yeah, no, not exactly, because that happened and then you had a lot of upset, grumpy thoughts about it. It could have happened on a different day or to a different person and they wouldn't have cared. Or they'd see it differently. So thought is our superpower because once we realize that we're the author, we're the director of our own thinking, we're creating the picture that we see of life as it passes before us, we have the opportunity, and this is our gift, we have the opportunity to leave it alone, to pay attention to it, to dismiss it, to leave it let it pass, or to think more about it. If we don't like the experience we're having, we have the power to turn our thinking in a different direction. If we're frightened by an experience we're having, once we understand that it's coming, that fear is the direct byproduct of the way we're using our thinking in that moment, how we're processing that experience, then we can choose. We have the absolute ability to say, you know what? No, I'm turning my mind elsewhere. And that doesn't mean you have to start building up this big inventory of positive thoughts and pulling them up. Because how our thinking works is a dynamic flow. Thoughts are always moving through our mind. And if we don't grab them and hold on to them, they pass. And as they pass, different thoughts come to mind. That's how life works. And that's what this little module is about. It's about understanding your own superpower as a human being to create your experience of life.